When two stars with massive visibility finally meet on screen, the industry expects fireworks, headlines, and an instant classic. Yet, sometimes what truly captivates audiences is not an explosion, but a quiet tension that refuses to settle. And that is exactly why the collaboration between Homingho and Songyun has become one of the most debated screen pairings in recent memory. Not because it failed outright, but because it challenged expectations in ways viewers were not fully prepared for, arriving at a perfect time slot with strong promotional backing and pre-existing fan enthusiasm that all but guaranteed attention, only for the final reception to fracture into admiration, doubt, defense, and disappointment all at once, creating a conversation far larger than the drama itself and transforming what could have been a straightforward viewing experience into an ongoing cultural discussion about performance, perception, and the invisible rules audiences bring with them into genre storytelling. As Homingho entered the project riding a wave of momentum built on striking visuals, disciplined physicality, and a steadily growing reputation as a young actor capable of anchoring fantasy-driven narratives, his presence undeniably aligning with the genre's demand for elegance, height, and composed intensity, qualities that instantly read as appropriate within a world shaped by myth, hierarchy, and visual symbolism. Yet popularity is a sharp blade that cuts both ways. Because once an actor is elevated as a primary draw, every gesture is magnified and every emotional beat is measured against invisible standards set not by the script alone, but by collective imagination, leading some viewers to praise his restraint, control, and visible growth, while others questioned whether his portrayal leaned too heavily on surface-level allure rather than internal emotional layering, a criticism that often shadows actors standing at the crossroads between promise and authority, where improvement is no longer enough, and the demand quietly shifts toward dominance, emotional gravity, and unmistakable presence, while Songyun's position within the same project was even more complex. As an actress deeply loved for her warmth, sincerity, and profoundly human performances, she carried into the drama a public image built on relatability and emotional accessibility, traits that have long defined her success and allowed audiences to see themselves reflected in her characters, but within a genre that prioritizes grandeur, mysticism, and an almost ceremonial sense of distance between character and viewer. Those same qualities suddenly became points of contention rather than comfort, with critics arguing that her youthful appearance, soft facial lines, and lively expressiveness felt too modern, too grounded, and insufficiently elevated for a setting audiences associate with classical elegance, restraint, and visual authority, revealing how unforgiving stylized genres can be when visual expectations are not immediately satisfied, and how quickly admiration can pivot into resistance when an actor's established strengths challenge unspoken genre rules. Yet these critiques also expose how narrowly beauty and aura are often defined, because what one group dismisses as lacking dignity, another embraces as refreshing authenticity, highlighting the deeply subjective nature of visual judgment even when it is framed as objective critique. Attention that intensified when Songyun chose to use her natural voice rather than relying on dubbing, a decision that placed her directly at the center of a long-standing industry debate about whether performances should prioritize polished spectacle or emotional truth, as detractors claimed her voice lacked the resonance, weight, and theatrical projection expected in climactic fantasy scenes, while supporters praised the intimacy, vulnerability, and sincerity it brought, arguing that emotional impact does not always require vocal embellishment and that quiet sincerity can be just as powerful as grand delivery, proving once again that audience desire is rarely unified, especially when tradition and evolution collide within the same narrative space, and while age became another sensitive flashpoint despite her continuing youthful image. The criticism highlighted a persistent double standard that pressures actresses to abruptly age up their presence, alter their emotional expression, and abandon softness once they cross an invisible threshold, while allowing male actors far more gradual and forgiving transitions that celebrate maturity rather than scrutinize it. turning what should have been a discussion about character interpretation into a broader reflection on gendered expectations and cultural conditioning within the entertainment industry, as the perceived lack of chemistry between the leads further divided viewers, with some sensing emotional dissonance born from contrasting acting rhythms. Homingho's controlled, visually centered approach meeting Songyun's emotionally expressive, internally driven style, resulting in moments where connection felt tentative, restrained, or misaligned rather than explosive. Yet chemistry is never the sole responsibility of actors alone, as script structure, narrative pacing, editing choices, musical cues, and directorial framing shape emotional flow just as powerfully, a nuance often lost in online debates that prefer simple blame over layered analysis, particularly in an era where viral commentary rewards certainty and extremes rather than curiosity and complexity. Especially when fleeting guest appearances by more traditionally styled performers sparked disproportionate comparisons that amplified pressure through social media algorithms hungry for contrast, hierarchy, and controversy, overshadowing the reality that brief screen time often benefits from concentrated impact while long-term leads must sustain emotional continuity over dozens of episodes, overlooking the technical and emotional challenge Songyun undertook in portraying dual characters within the same project, a demanding task requiring precise differentiation in tone, posture, gaze, emotional logic, and internal motivation while navigating relentless public scrutiny that left little room for experimentation, missteps, or gradual adjustment. While Homingho faced his own set of questions about whether this role marked a definitive turning point or merely another stepping stone, with supporters recognizing steady improvement, increased emotional control, and growing confidence, and critics demanding bolder authority, deeper vulnerability, and a clearer sense of command that transcends visual presence, a tension that mirrors the developmental phase many young actors experience as they move from being admired for potential to being judged for impact, consistency, and memorability, ultimately revealing that this collaboration did not falter because it lacked effort, professionalism, preparation, or talent, but because it existed at the intersection of rigid genre expectations and evolving performance philosophies, creating friction rather than fantasy, discomfort rather than consensus, and perhaps that friction is precisely why it continues to be discussed, dissected, and remembered long after the final episode aired, reminding us that not every story meant to comfort will succeed, but stories that challenge perception often leave a longer shadow, forcing audiences to confront their own assumptions about beauty, voice, age, chemistry, authenticity, and what it truly means for a performance to belong within a genre, while also exposing how modern viewers increasingly demand both innovation and familiarity, often without realizing how contradictory those desires can be. And if you stayed with us through this extended deep exploration, thank you sincerely for your time, patience, and curiosity. Your engagement makes these conversations meaningful, and if you enjoy thoughtful, balanced, and in-depth entertainment analysis that goes beyond surface-level judgment and viral outrage, don't forget to subscribe to our channel 24H News, TM, turn on notifications, and become part of our growing community, because your voice matters here more than ever, so share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe the criticism was fair or overly rigid? Did the genre itself limit audience openness? And what does this debate reveal about the future of casting and storytelling? Let us know what you think and continue the conversation with us at 24H News, TM, where every perspective adds depth to the story.